Geez, I'm so old now, I've seen all the Toy Story films in theaters, like a lot of people watching this, so I guess I'm not that old, but Jesus Christ, I think I was like 8 years old when the first one came out, and everyone was talking about it. Why am I recording this? So Toy Story 4 is like a bonus episode to a show you've long since finished. Did you need it? Not really. Were you glad to see it? Perhaps. The marketing for this movie showcased a far darker, more depressing outing, which is not the final product at all. I guess I enjoyed this movie somewhat, but I have to say, it is by far the weakest of all the Toy Story films, and I think most would agree. I didn't feel the things I felt in the other ones this time around. This movie did have a few touching moments, and some good laugh-out-loud ones, but overall I left unsatisfied, and wanted to see another movie. Toy Story 4 isn't a bad movie, it just feels a bit hollow. I mean, from what I remember from the other Toy Story films, I mean, it's been decades, literal decades since I've seen the first two, and then I saw the third one in theaters in 2010, and that was really, really good. And then it's just, from what I remember, this one just is really weak by comparison. Again, it's not a terrible movie, it's just, it doesn't do it for me. It just doesn't do it for me. But why? The visuals are on point. Great and wonderful animation. The whole cast is back here too. Though most sound noticeably older. Think James Earl Jones in Rogue One. The music is so good here too. And yet, I just feel tired of the same old thing. Of course, this story continues on the nature of self and purpose, of reflection and loss. But I'm really over Woody's whole obsession with Andy. And this iteration just seems like a mild retread of where we've been before. The movie opens with a flashback from 9 years ago. Andy's younger sister Molly decides she's outgrown Bo Peep and gives her away. Woody and her share what they think is a final moment together before she's gone. He has a chance to go with her, but declines. He belongs with Andy. The movie has a neat and brief series of transitions that take us from there through all the storyline up to present day, where you remember Andy went off to college and gave all his toys to Bonnie. Little Bonnie has favorite toys she plays with more than the others. Woody is not among them. Now Bonnie has her first day of kindergarten. None of her toys are allowed. Woody disagrees with this. He thinks she needs someone to comfort her on this important day. He wants so desperately to be needed again. He sneaks along with her. At school, Bonnie sits alone, ignored by the other kids. She's obviously sad, so Woody plants some materials around her that she can play with. With this, she makes Forky, a plastic spork with uneven beady eyes, fuzz string for arms, and broken popsicle sticks for feet. A hideous creation. She immediately falls in love with him. When she brings them back home, Woody introduces Forky to the gang. "We're toys," he has to keep repeating to him. "Trash?" Forky says. Forky thinks he's trash. He doesn't understand why he is alive, and always darts to the garbage bin. There's a lot of existential stuff here. Is Woody useless now that Bonnie doesn't play with him? Is Forky still a living toy even though he was handmade by a kid? Even as he doesn't want to be considered a toy. Even as he seems to want to be thrown away. The other toys call him just a spork, even though he can walk and talk like all of them. And one might take Forky's endless return to the trash bin as some sort of suicidal tendency. But this is a kid's movie, so I don't want to push the envelope. So there's the movie's basic dilemma. Forky keeps Bonnie happy because she made him. Forky doesn't want to exist, so he escapes. Woody has to convince him to stay for Bonnie's sake. Or so he says, anyway. There is no staple villain of this picture like in the others. Although the story does later involve an antique shop with some extremely creepy dolls. They definitely nailed what they were going for with this. And a very questionable doll named Gabby. But even she is not as evil as we think she is. This movie runs a lot more slowly than I thought it would. And carries some heavy thematic material in its story. Although tastefully done, it's still fine for kids to watch. And though at times it is very funny, it mostly is not. I think this premise is just too much for this franchise. Yeah, the Toy Story movies have always carried darker imagery and themes, but they had great plots and narratives to pack that punch. Toy Story 4 just doesn't. It almost feels like fan-servicey filler, so what you get is an okay movie with some good themes. I think you'll understand when you see the ventriloquist dummies. I liked parts of this movie. I liked Tony Hale as Forky. And some of the conversations he has with Woody are really good. And Key and Peele show up to voice two of the funniest characters. The design of the eyes of Ducky had me laughing way more than I should have. I couldn't stop staring at his eyes and laughing. This is so good. But overall, I'm just so unenthused. I didn't even want to review this in case that wasn't clear enough. You know, if the movie is bad enough or great enough, the review will just pour out of me. Movies like this, though, where I'm kinda meh on the whole thing, are torture for me to sit and think about. Because I feel terrible that I didn't like it more, and I don't have enough to even hate on it. I think if the Toy Story movies continue, they should just do away with all the human characters, and have the conflicts be between the toys themselves only. Now it should be about rebellion. Maybe capitalize on the whole lost toys thing forever. And the movie ends just cheesily. The ending. It all ends cheesily, predictably. The final shots are what you will expect them to be. There are no surprises here, folks. Most people will enjoy that, and that's fine. I don't know what I wanted, but it was more than this. A couple more things. Stick around for the credits. The very funniest moment happens here, and it steals the best scene from the rest of the movie. And also, in the theater I was in, the kid sitting behind me, who I swear to you was no older than 10, said aloud as the memoriam for Don Rickles appeared, "That's Mr. Potato. He died." And that floored me more than anything else from the night. This fucking kid, man, he knew who Don Rickles was. He knew that he had died a couple years ago. I forgot that he died a couple years ago, and that was pretty sad, and it was just kind of amazing to me that that kid knew. And I don't know. I don't think this movie's very good. I think it's okay. All kinds of meh. Some good scenes in it. Great animation. You know, technically it's a great, well-made film, but I just don't see a point to it all. Yeah, I know. People are gonna like how Woody's arc ends and all that shit, but I don't know. Those trailers, if you remember, the Beach Boys song fucking playing, and the way that they cut certain lines that Woody says with the conversations he has with Forky and Forky's existential crisis, and how he said he's like a little bit suicidal in this movie, I thought we were going to get a very darker film, but I guess they couldn't go that route for obvious reasons. But, you know, it's fine if you like this movie. I just think it's way weaker than the other Toy Story films, and I just didn't feel the things I guess the other ones made me feel. But there were like a few moments where I burst out laughing. Not as many as I wanted to. I was kind of just bored and just sitting there, like, realizing I was watching a movie I wasn't taken away. And that Rowan shark on the slide. What a great day to play or whatever. It's the funniest. I gotta find this. It's like 1 second long. It's fucking hilarious. And then Keegan-Michael Key is that Ducky character, and Jordan Peele is the bunny. They were great. Truly stole the movie, but that end credits scene, it was fucking hilarious. I wish there was more to this movie, I really do, but there just isn't. I'm never going to see it again. I'm never going to watch this movie again. I've been meaning to go back and rewatch the first 3 Toy Story films, which I will gladly do, but I'm going to skip this one a second time. There's no reason to watch it again. In my mind. Maybe you'll want to see it again, that's fine. You don't need to see this movie.